I'll throw down my intro and we'll be off to the races. Welcome to a Vurbmoto moto album here on the Verb Pod Network. Thank you guys so much for checking out another album here on the Moto album. Now I'm going to start from the very beginning. That was garbage. All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Moto Albums here on the Verb Pod Network. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm your host, Brad Gebhardt. We're throwing you guys a little bit of a curveball today because this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do Moto Albums to begin with. A little bit of theater of the mind, some of these amazing photos that are taken of this spectacular sport that we love so much. Honestly, I think sometimes the stars are behind the cameras, guys who are able to see a shot before it even really happens. They can be Johnny on the spot when their guys are coming over a jump or hitting a corner just in a certain way, a la the Buckley berm, if you will. With us on the line, we've got a very talented photographer. You probably know him on Instagram as Post at Random, but I know him better as Jordan Post. Jordan, how's it going?
How are you, my man? I'm doing very well, thank you.
Dude, I'm doing so awesome. It has been way too long since you and I were like in person together at Loretta Lynn's. We were slogging through the mud. We were beating the heat, everything else in between. And I couldn't help but notice that you got some of the most eye-catching photos, not only at that event, but yeah, you've been on my radar ever since. So it's pretty incredible to see what you can do.
Thank you for that. I'm very first off, just thank you for having me here and thank you for saying that. That's a lot to walk into right off the bat. Loretta's was fun, man. That's honestly one of my absolute favorite amateur events to go to. Like coming, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's right in the dead center of going to the pro nationals. And to me, it's another national. There's nothing different. It's just a week-long national. I mean, all my friends are there. I get to see everybody and you could cut that tension with a knife. So thank you for saying, all the nice things.
Absolutely, dude. The kind words are meant from the bottom of my heart. I truly mean that. And I think you're totally right. Like as far as gravity or maybe the importance of an event, Loretta Lynn's is about as up there as it gets as far as like what your annual calendar goes. Like basically the entire motocross world stops, aside from maybe if there's a MXGP on the other side of the world. But North America wise, everything, all eyes are on Loretta's. Everyone wants to know how the super mini class went, how the shaft drive kids, who you can pick out of those names of who might end up winning 250B 10 years down the road. But for a guy like yourself, who is on the other side of the lens, capturing all of this, how do you go about like maybe you can give me your story about how the first time you went to Loretta's period, and how do you develop the skill set to be able to be on the infield? Because that's not an easy job to get whatsoever. That's a privileged spot.
It's privileged. It is not a right. It is 100% privilege. And I don't care how hard you think you work and how hard any of that, man, there's no right to be out there. It's all, what do you offer? What's your value? And going to Loretta's, I believe was my third one.
Okay.
I just kind of let them just kind of hit, go. But it's extraordinary every year. And it's mind blowing. I've found the best way to even make Loretta's work is, where are you? You always need to be somewhere. You have to be helping. You have to be doing something. It's not one of those things that are just going to come by and then all of a sudden you're just like, hey, I think I'm going to do Loretta's this year. And then you jump on. Like, you take it as serious as any other racer out there. So going and building rapport and meeting people and seeing where you're needed, you need to show your value of why you're even needed to begin with. So it's being able to be privileged enough to go for the last, I'd say 3 years has been remarkable. And it's been built off just community.
Hey, you just hit the nail on the head, man. They often say it's not what you know, it's who you know. But if you know those people and you don't bring anything to the table, it doesn't do you much good. You've been able to provide a lot of value for a lot of people at a place like Loretta's who, let's be honest, there's a lot of families that sort of like hinge their like the success of the years to come on having, maybe like, it doesn't even always have to be on the results, but if you can create great value for the companies that support you, that gives you you a better chance at continuing to move those conversations forward and get that support going. And photography is a big portion of that. That like our sport is so visual, especially on social media. If not for
Yes.
capturing those image, it doesn't really go right. Like it's essentially you get the scarcity that existed in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, where not like the every event there was a handful of photos from every event that became a bit iconic. But like guys at the back of the pack or somebody who otherwise wouldn't be in front of the camera, they don't have that opportunity to show what they got.
Yeah. I would love for everybody to know that, like, if you race, your best friend is your media, is what I believe. Because I mean, say you have these sponsors, and what do we always hear? It's so hard for this privateer. It's so hard for that privateer. Okay, man. Well, it looks like you have a lot of sponsors. Looks like you do a lot of things. Get with somebody who does media, teach them what they can know, and then you guys play off each other and say, hey, you have a goggle company? Cool. Let's hit that one first. Then let's hit the gear. Then let's hit, what's on your bike, who's doing your graphics, who does a podcast around here, who does a vlog, who does. It's just jumping in there and getting it. And then, like, if you're racing, oh my gosh, what if, let's say your sponsor and you're like, oh, we need a little bit of help or support or anything. Okay, well, you hire one of these guys, say, hey, this is our point, we want to get this message across, this is it. And then you let them see what's going on. You tell them to go after and get it and work with them. And just don't just throw them money and be like, yeah, I want pictures of my kid. Get something out of it. Like, work with it.
Absolutely. And you as well as I know, there are a ton of companies out there that struggle with even just content creation. There's a lot of companies out there that just don't have a big backlog. Their cupboards aren't completely full of whether it's photo content or video content to be able to share. So if you're an athlete that can like put together a cool edit or some neat product photos, like especially if it's different than what the company's currently putting out, that can be that little extra different kind of flavor that helps them with some sales, add some extra value to either keep that sponsor, or you can, if that, say if you don't end up keeping that sponsor, you can go on to another sponsor and be like, hey, this is what I was able to do for this company. I was able to drive sales for those guys. They don't have budget this year, but I'd like to be able to do that for you. Yeah, that's a big portion of what allows certain race programs to be successful, right?
Yes, 1,000,000%. There's a lot of cool stuff coming in right now, and I think that we're, how can I say this? Nothing's about to be like, hey, this is what we need to go back to. I think we're about to walk into a new, and we just got through this, like, oh, as soon as, like, we've already hit the fan, like we've already hit its heyday. We've already done this, we've already done that. Look at everything. Everything is brand new recorded. Like everything seems brand new. Every single thing that we're touching in this industry right now is new. And to kids that are at Loretta's, they know nothing to the riders that have been riding the outdoors for the last 6-7 years. So everything to them is brand new. And I think if we
do
stay in
have
that
a new
mindset,
generation rolling through, don't we?
we are in it, my man. We are in, like, all you got to do is exactly like look 5-6 years ahead. And then you're like, holy cow, like I noticed it with Kate Johnson. Like I'm watching, I feel like he was just a little chipmunk when I met him. And then all of a sudden, like you seeing him now and you're like,
he's a pretty tall chipmunk.
He's a pretty tall chipmunk. There's so much to see. And there's so much, like, yeah, if you want to see it as a rerun, maybe you're part of that rerun. I don't know. But if you're seeing it as optimistic and new and that's what's real to you, then baby, hold on tight, because we're going. We're going.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, I guess probably the lowest hanging fruit question that I could possibly have for you is, how does a guy get started in photography? Like I would like to think that most photographers, they're like, you guys all develop your talent, but I think there's with the one commonality between all of you is the ability to see a beautiful photo and not only recreate something quite like that, but also have an eye for what's going to be a great photo. I think that like a portion of that is just it's an inherent skill. I don't know that it's always taught, because you as well as I know, having friends that can take good photos of you is a luxury. And like that is maybe like two things: friends of yours that can take decent photos, and friends of yours that can give a decent speech at wedding. hold on to those people like they're
That's
the like
amazing.
grim death, because they are few and far between someone that can stand up at the microphone and not just be reading off of the cards like they're in grade 11. But how'd you get your start in photography? I think you got maybe a little bit more unorthodox approach than most.
Okay, so this is actually be pretty funny. So thank you for asking it.
Okay.
When I wanted to take it serious, I didn't even go to Supercross yet. I'd never done anything, never once even dealt with a dirt bike. But what I did was I called Racer X because I had been getting the magazines, and obviously I'm a fan. So I was getting the magazines, and I saw that there was all these contact information in the back. So I called up Racer X, and I was like, "Hey, how do you get the front cover?" And I asked it so broadly, and that's a whole other story on its own on being specific when you ask a question. But
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "How do you get the front cover?" And they were like, "You win." And I was like, "Oh, I meant like to take it. Like, how do you get the opportunity to take that front cover?" And the lady started laughing, and she was like, "Oh, you just got to like be at the races. You need to work hard. You need to meet people, like, and then maybe it'll come." And I was like, "All right." I didn't know anything better. And so, man, just the opportunities that have just come to me left and right without having any expectation. I feel like I won this entire thing because I have no expectation. I'm so lucky and so privileged and so blessed that people are like, "Hey, you look like you can take a good picture. Come take a picture of my kid." And I'm like, and luckily the way I look, it's a good calling card. But it's to get into it, to do it, you literally just got to have confidence. You got to
Mm-hmm.
be able to know that like what you produce right now is not what you're going to be producing in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's going to get
Amen to
sharper.
that. Oh
It
yeah.
involuntarily. All you have to do is just keep doing it. And so all of a sudden you're like looking at your pictures and you're looking at things that you like looked up to. And one thing that I noticed, like when I was kind of catching on to like build that confidence, I was like, I'm gonna make every single knob on every single tire look like it stopped time. That was like my big thing. And I still do it to this day. I love other people's blurry and motion blur and all that. I think it's so cool. For me, I want to just make you freeze. I just want to pull a sub zero on everybody and say, "Well, stop with me for a moment and realize this was a cool moment." So knowing that, having your mission statement, knowing you can't go into it blindsided. I went from being a welder in Austin, and then I was like, "I got an idea. I'm just gonna take pictures for people," and like people were like, "Oh yeah, people are gonna just pay you to go places and take pictures,"
Damn
and it
right
was
they
just,
will.
yeah, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And
Hey, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. You're talking to a journeyman bricklayer from
I'm
Winnipeg, from nowhere, Canada.
really,
Yeah, no, I still live in nowhere, Canada, and yeah, 9 years ago, I said I'm gonna make this podcast into something that people want to listen to. And I've lost track of how many episodes I've put out. This is over 950.
yeah,
And I knew, yeah, my first episode, I leave it up almost comically because it's like it's 2.5 hours of like me rambling with one of the local guys because I was like just sort of trying to get some mileage before I interviewed anyone of note. And but I leave it up there as evidence that you can start where I started, and you can honestly live your dream of being on the infield at Loretta Lynn's arm in arm with Wes Williams from Vurbmoto, who is like half to blame for why I'm here in the first place, because I loved his stuff when the craziest thing about Wes is that like I was looking up to Wes when I was like 14 and he was like 18.
yep.
But yeah, like that you just hit the nail on the head, man. Like it's doing the work and knowing that it might not come right away. But yeah, you keep swinging
If
the
it does, be
axe.
afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's great to hear that you've kind of climbed the ladder. And yeah, you're right. You do have a distinct look. There's not too many guys out there with the tattoos and the yes. But what you like your look also gives off like an artistic flair. You're like, so that guy might have an eye for something that other people might not see. So if that's what you're trying to communicate, mission accomplished.
That's funny, man. It's Ah, man, I always get asked like, "Do you regret your tattoos?" No, enough people regret them for me, so I just live. And like, like it's weird. I don't really care about like the image that's
Mhm,
on them. I don't know why, but I feel like it breaks so many chains. Like I
mhm,
feel like it automatically kicks you out of a line. And
mhm.
so you're like, well, if I'm already out here, I might as well do something amazing and like go for my goals in life
There you go.
and show that like no matter what you go through, like you need to come out smiling. You need to come out like with your axe sharp still. And I love it. And I guess it's made me more, I guess I was like really insecure at a point in my life.
Okay.
And this has helped me so much. Just like, I don't know, it makes me feel more human. It makes me feel relatable to people who are, I feel like doing it anyway when they're going and they're getting their hair done and they're putting a bunch of makeup on and they're going and they're getting their suit on and they're all dressing up. I feel like there's no different. I see nothing different in what we're doing because they're trying to look their best. And I guess as if you want to say artistic, I guess this is me attempting to look my best for what I think my best is to look.
There you go. Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? I also what I like one of the things I like about like everyone's an individual. You certainly are one in not only appearance but just in
Yeah.
the your ideologies. But um one of the things that may help you along the way is there's a lot of people who may judge a book by its cover and like getting to know you. You're a really great guy. You're like super nice to talk to, super helpful, very friendly. But I'd be willing to bet that there's a certain segment of people who wouldn't be able to get past the tattoos or whatever else. And I bet that actually saves you a lot of time dealing with some pretty shitty people.
I'll say this, man. There's a bunch of them that don't like me, and it just goes to show that they really don't have good taste, and that's okay. You can't get mad at everybody for not, liking mangoes just because they
Hmm.
looked at a mango. But I would never switch lives with them,
Yeah.
never, because the people that have gone out of their way to like say something to me and like be like kind to me are people that I still annoy to this day, and they know who they are, and I
Nice.
will pop out of nowhere and just annoy them because I'm so appreciative that they looked. Yeah, they're the ones that make me feel normal. They're the ones that make me feel like I'm part of everything. And if
Mm.
you see the harder I shine, I guarantee you somewhere right before that, somebody was like, "You got this, dog," and that's all I needed.
Hell yeah, you absolutely do have this dog. Now, before I roll into some of these photos, I need you to tell me, and I'll just start the slideshow here so we can get a better look at some nice artwork and the guy that is Jordan Post. Um, Before we go through these photos, I want you to deliver a message to the listeners. This will be this will be on the Verb Pod Network, but this is also be on YouTube on Big MX Radio. Um, what makes what is the calling card of a Jordan Post photo? Because without a watermark, without anything, I would know your work without whether it's you posting it or if you happen to be working for Verb. Like it's there are some elements that I sort of pick out that I don't know if it's just like it's the language, it's the flavor. I like it's the spices that you use to create what you create. Um, what is that recipe, or at least in your opinion, what is that recipe that sort of like separates yourself? I guess you kind of clued in a little bit onto it with the knobbies being so crisp, but I'm sure there's some other intricacies as well.
Yeah, it's simple, man. Like, let's just jump in it, man. It's melancholy right off the bat. It's a moment that you know is gone. And with that being said, you respect that moment. And to get like a signature like that, I feel like all I did was mess up a bunch, so much that it became my style. And to like, I think what will set it all apart is I've said this once before, but like right before like a race or something like that, I'm miserable to be near. I'm absolutely horrendous to be near. And it's because like I'm walking near 1,000 of these kids. I'm walking near so many of these people, and I'm taking in every single emotion, and I just try to like live in that and feel it. And I don't care who I'm taking a picture of. I don't care. I can feel who you are, and I can tell like if you're going through something. I don't know. I don't know what that connection is, but as soon as you pop that clutch, man, I'm with you. I want to go. I want to slam it. And those are the, I guess, just having value in what you want and getting after it. So my pictures are always just kind of like a vivid dream. I want people to look at it and kind of be like, I can't tell if I was there. That's how I remember it. That is how it looked. Like it was crazy. It was just, it went so fast paced. I want you to feel like you have the flu at 2 o'clock in the morning and you feel really hot and you're feeling like you got a flash of anxiety, but you have a flash of little depression. But on top of it, you know that your confidence is there and you know that you're there for a reason and you mean something to this chaos. And that's literally what I I guess I try to put into each of these photos because
I
that's
think
what.
it's an attack on the senses, predominantly obviously the visual one. But just the fact that you're able to kind of think outside the box as far as where to stand for photos, the angles that you use. I use this example, and the first photo we're looking at here, it's I believe this is if that yeah, it's a 50 class, the Cobras that dominate this entire class.
Every time.
The colors that are involved with this photo is absolutely like it's a photographer's dream. There's almost like there's no one on this the whole photos is wearing black only,
Yes.
which I know I've talked to guys like Brown Dog and he laments when they just wear guys like me who wear black head to toe.
Yep.
But tell me a little bit about like this is Loretta's and like the fact that like we've got some foot like the guys in the front are almost like as you get closer to the front of the pack, the bikes get clearer, which I think is kind of neat. I don't know if that was intended or not, but how do you capture something quite like this?
Okay, so when I want to climb on to a photo like this, what I'll do is I know somebody's going to come up on that whole shot. I know someone's going to lead, but I'm more focused on where it says Loretta Lynn's because that's the reason we're there.
There's your
That's
focal
who
point.
we are there to represent, and that's my main focus is making sure Loretta Lynn's looks phenomenal. So I put my focus on that. I'll put it in manual. I'll put everything just switched over to it, get my lens focused directly on it, and then as soon as that gate drops, I just wait for them. And right as I can see them coming in, I blur them out in my own eyes and I just focus on where it says Loretta Lynn's. And as soon as it boom, as soon as I got enough going in there, that's where it is. So anything that's going to be closer to us is going to automatically be blurry uh in the mode that I shoot. And then that's just kind of like I love being able to give foreground. I love being able to give layers. And so that's why you're seeing it affected that way.
So yeah, with 40 guys or 42 on the gate, there's about 42 layers to this particular photo, and like you're totally right. Like Loretta Lynn's, like that signature is essentially the focal point of that photo. And
Yes.
you'd mentioned that you're shooting in manual. What does that mean to us non-shutter bugs that understand like sort of? I'm sure there's some people who have a Canon camera at home that might have like a Running Man mode or something like that. Manual essentially means that you can affect like the shutter speed, the ISO, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, you're doing it all. And that's how you're going to get these pictures to look like this. You're not going to do it in auto. You're not going to do it in autofocus. Like this is a whole different taste. This is a different chef. This is a look that like that you're creating on your own because you don't want different things to you don't want anyone else. I don't even want my camera to suggest what I do. That's how much I like to do it myself. And
That's cool.
like to be able to do this, like I run a Canon 1DX, which is I believe the one that I have. Like I have the very first one, and the very first one I believe came out in 2007.
I was gonna say that's not a new camera body. I actually borrowed Brown Dog's 1DX one time.
It's the greatest camera body.
It's such a
I have
nice
two
camera
of them.
body. Yeah.
Oh, I have two of them, and I wouldn't trade them for the world because they're just so the color pop. The color I barely mess with color. When I do, it goes usually I'm doing black and white,
Mm-hmm.
and like so this is I probably touched up a couple things on this one, but it's more just that's Canon. That's Canon that's popping that color. That's the 1DX, the camera body. And then when you go to manual mode and you're the one that's switching everything, I take pictures. The reason people are like, hey man, can I see that picture? And I always, there hasn't been one person I've showed. I always say no. Because if you look at it through my viewfinder, these pictures all look almost black.
Yeah,
None of these,
yeah.
yeah, yep. That has always been a fear of mine. And someone being like, "Hey, man, I want to see it like right as you take it." It's like, no way, San Jose. Like these are because I can take like that darkness out and still show definition, but I can't go the reverse. I can't take it. Like if I took this picture at the same like how it looks, how we see it, if I
So
had those
overexposed
settings,
you wouldn't be able to see anything.
oh my gosh, it would be a different type of art.
Okay.
And I'm just not trying to show that on this picture.
Cool. Very, very neat. No, I love this photo. It kind of encapsulates like the drive of every single one of these athletes towards their common goal. And obviously there can only be one winner, and that's the kid at the very, very beginning. He'll at least get the whole shot in this moto. Lord knows if he was able to complete the thing, but like we were all there for Loretta Lynn's.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to the next photo. We're at Washougal. This is second moto 250 class. And for those, you'd have to be basically born under a rock to not know that that is the one, the only Austin Faulkner
Yes,
prior to
sir.
getting married. And yeah, you're actually getting a really good look at his innards and what his rib cage looks like. But take us through this one.
This one, man, I'm a huge Austin Fortner fan. So
Great
when
guy.
I was watching him when he was riding, it was just like yes, 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 yes. And as soon as I saw him come off the line and he got eaten alive, I was like, no way, don't want that picture. That's not it. I was like, I just want to show like what this guy's like showing in his head. Like, what is it? What do I? And I was like, oh, you're halfway there. Like, you're literally on like cruise control. And on top of that, it doesn't even matter from there. I have to get this done. And I feel like that's exactly what this picture was representing. I, I love this picture so much because you can't see like the front of him. You can't see the, like below him. You can't see. There's so much that you can't see that you almost can relate with him more because
Mhm.
I bet you that's what he was feeling at that exact moment.
Yeah, like these guys, they ride with such they're almost on autopilot, especially when like they kind of see red, so to speak, when they go down. Like it's just I don't care, I gotta get up front or I gotta like salvage this moto. The only thing he's probably thinking of, or the thing going through his mind, is just the pain of having to deal with the a side ripped up like that, and just the jersey itself. Like that thing is beyond being a collector's item. Like I don't, there's not
I
really much
know.
left from that jersey, and it really goes to show how violent the sport can be when things go a little bit sideways. You go like look at the rest of the photo where everything is for the most part pristine, the sleeve nice and like it's perfectly put together, but only inches away is absolute mayhem.
Mayhem. Like in his chest protector, I'm all for chest protectors, so please everybody always wear them.
Yes,
But
sir.
like that could you imagine just like that those three bottom ribs right there
Mm-hmm.
had to been just
Oh, burning.
getting oh
And
uh,
the chest protect, like you can tell that the chest protector must have moved slightly when, because it's like it's not like the wound stops where the chest protector is. So every time that thing moved, it's just scraping along. Oh, that is.
all the
But
sand and all the
oh
dirt
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
just rubbing it open just
yeah.
constantly.
Yeah, just
Uh
awesome, just bleeding, just all that fun stuff. I will happen to note that I don't know, Jordan, the knobbies on that Dunlop. I don't know, like, they're not the crispest knobbies ever seen.
you got me there, but look at that jersey, dog. You
Nah,
could tell where
I'm
my
just giving
focus
you shit.
was.
But
He was coming by in 1 millisecond. I was like, nope, I'm getting it. And yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Look at those.
100%, 100%. That's all good. I'm
Uh,
sure there'll be plenty more that we're looking to look at here. That the knobbies are even more crisp. But yeah, the jersey itself is what we're looking at here. Um, have you ever had an opportunity to work with Austin like one on one, like to do a photo shoot
no,
with him or anything quite like that? You're
no, we've
located in
only
Texas, and you kind of you like do you stay close to home unless you're doing an event?
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. Yeah, but not by choice.
Okay.
I love going anywhere at any moment, and Austin is definitely my home, and I love being here. But like with all the like pros that I got out here, oh my gosh, the guy that I think I spend the most with that is out here is Andrew Short, and
Jordy's a good guy.
what a cool guy to have, like just a local, huh?
Right.
So huge fan of that. Now we just need Austin Forkner to move to Austin, and then it'd make more sense.
It
So
would. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he needs an Austin address. Um, I've never seen a picture of Bigfoot at a motocross track, but this is Godzilla. He's looking a little bit Michelin manish in this particular photo. But what I can tell you is that those knobbies are about as crisp gets, as well as those
so
leaves.
funny.
In the background, Barsha here running the scoop tire. I'm actually struggling to figure out which track this is.
Oh, really? This is Godzilla
Uh,
from Iron
Oh,
Man.
Iron Man, right? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, like I haven't been to Iron Man, so that's probably why I didn't notice that one. But yeah, like Barsha, maybe one of the more spectacular guys to take photos of. He's just so active on the bike, right?
And that is my like thing I say. Like, it's not, I know it sucks when Barsha doesn't ride. It sucks even more when you don't get to have a picture that you know you were going to be proud of because he was going to ride.
Mm-hmm.
That's what sucks the most is like, he is the most fun. If you're feeling down on your pictures and you're feeling down on your video, as soon as you get to that Barsha clip or that Barsha photo, all your photos are going to look good from there because that's his style is unmatched. And look, like he made this picture look cool and he didn't even know he was doing it. And it's like it literally looks like he's like running away from Godzilla, like he's just barely making it out of there. And he's just the coolest, man. There's no one cooler than Barsha.
Now, what makes a one photo more of a candidate for black and white over another photo? Like obviously this photo would have been like pretty spectacular if it was colorized as well. Green, like the Godzilla, and then the red, the blue, the white, sort of on the backdrop of the treed section in the back section here. Why did you choose to do this one in black and white?
Usually it's 100% my mood.
Okay.
Uh, like I said, I get real emotional when there's like big things like this happening. And when I see something that's unique, usually I want to put it in black and white for that melancholy aspect of saying, like, hey, man, slow it down a little bit and take how serious this really is. Like, this is a cool moment. And I'm very inspired by 80s motocross and
Okay.
very. And oh my gosh, I think those are the coolest pictures in the world. And that's how I feel like this black and white is, where it's almost got a off tint gray, kind of like phase over it. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's as close as 35 millimeter as I can get it. And what you're seeing is me paying homage to like Davy Coombs's old pictures.
Yep.
And because that's what that is. Like if you look at that picture and then you look at another one and you go, this is literally just a different format. Like he
This
used a
this was
DSLR when
this was
this guy
supposed to
used
be for
film.
Cycle News in
This was just for
1985.
my own gain.
No, I know. I mean, like if you were in 1984, this would have
Yeah,
been for submitting this to Cycle News
this is
for a
exactly.
race report. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. And like, so is the easy answer to this question Kent Howerton, or who would have been like a rider from the 80s that you would have loved to shoot that you obviously didn't get a chance to?
Oh my gosh.
We asked the tough questions here.
I would have to say the same thing I'd have to say about the generation now. There's nobody. It's all of them. It's whoever I was feeling the most. Like, sure, you have everybody from the greatest eras, but it's like, would I have even jived with them? Would I have been able to
That's
feel
fair.
that? You get what I'm saying? With
Yeah.
Barsha, you know what you're getting with Barsha. As soon as he's on that bike, you're like, oh, dude, I'm not gonna even get my
Here
lens
comes a
away
wild
from you.
child.
Like, yeah, yep. So I guess I would have to be there. Yeah, I don't know.
It's so funny to go to whether you're at like a national or supercross, and like you've been to a ton of them, I've been to a ton of them, you watch these guys on like, I wouldn't say the parade lap, but they like go out for like the first lap or two of free practice when they're sort of just like checking things out. Like they don't quite like they don't quite just like pin it. And you get guys like, let's say like Cooper Webb, who's like very upright. Like it's one of the only times throughout the day where he's actually sort of up out of the saddle, whereas
Hmm.
everywhere else he's sort of like kind of like hunched over in attack mode. Barsha, for the first 5 minutes of maybe every session that's not like an actual qualifying session, he throws the bike around. He's
Throws
so
it.
much, he's just like, oh, supercross triple, yeah, and just sends it. Like, and it's not that he's even putting on a show. I think he genuinely just loves riding his motorcycle and likes doing it in such a way.
You know, there's something that I have to say about him, and it's like where he got like a lot of my respect is when I do like the press day on at Supercross, whenever it is, whatever it is, he's always present when it comes down to it. Like he's always up in the manager's tower. He's always looking at stuff. And it's like that's why like I try to like rep him the way I do. He's
Mm-hmm.
stylish, he's cool, he's easy to talk to. I love his attitude. I love when he gets mad. I love the way he treats people when he feels that he's being unjust.
Mm-hmm.
And but when you like cut it down, I feel like him and Deegan and Tomac are the only ones that I ever actually see walking the track, like walking it inch for inch, looking at every single thing.
Okay.
And Ferrandis, I have to give that because him, yeah, he definitely does 1,000,000%.
Neat.
Now, what was
Uh,
it?
I just said that was neat. When it comes to taking pictures on track walk, like, are you attentive to guys who are sort of like that, like, or like that you can sort of capture that thinking moment when they're like sort of like dissecting a rhythm lane or kind of sorting out how a bull berm is going to sort itself out?
Oh, hands down. I that and then I wait until they're not thinking motocross anymore. And you can tell that they're just taking a moment. And those are my favorite photos, my lifestyle photos. Just the candid look. I wait until they're all done because one thing, and I'm not knocking any photographers or any videographers because I love everybody, but I absolutely can't stand where there's already a flock of people standing. And I definitely don't want to take the same picture that everybody's already gonna take. So it's hard. It's I want to get Chase Sexton in his Oakleys, but I don't want to do it when he's standing on top of a whoop, pointing out towards that way. Like it's I want something different, and I just sit there and I'll just wait. I'll wait till he's with fans. I'll wait until like those moments they come. But I feel like if I've already seen them, the anyone else can go get them. You're gonna see that picture. You don't need me to do it. You don't need me getting a picture of Deegan tripling anything. Why? There's gonna be 100 of them already. I want when Deegan is hugging his dad. I want like just different ones. But I mean, there's a million of those. But just like there's a time and a place. Time and a place.
Totally agree. And that is very difficult on, say, like at a supercross where you get those. I don't have one with me right now, but like you get the printout of where you're allowed to stand and where you're not allowed to
Oh my
stand.
god.
And there's so much more red than there is green.
your, your skill is the what drives our sport. By the
Yeah.
way, you can't stand anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Your
You are
lens,
if yeah, if not for you capturing this, we get nothing. But also,
you have a
yeah,
lens that can go from here to the airport.
yeah. No, that like that's an never-ending battle, but it is difficult to get unique photos at a supercross. But one thing that I kind of always kind of kept in the back of my mind that when I was talking to actually it wasn't even something that Wes told to me, but he was saying it to both Wade Rayner and one of the other filmers that we had with us. I think his name is Brett. He said if there's someone standing next to you while you're filming, move.
Move.
Like go shoot another angle, go shoot another spot, go like I don't want what someone else is getting. I want what we're gonna go get and like so, and go like and like obviously like there's some better spots that are better than others, but like go make a different spot good too. You know what I mean? Find
There's
another way to capture something.
exactly, and that's like there's only one spot that I think is that we can all kind of have a bad picture, and that's the finish line at High Point. Any other track, any other anything, you should be able to get creative. That
Uh-huh.
finish line at High Point is the only excusable one that I feel.
Is that it's a small jump, is it not?
Yeah, it does that little like horseshoe,
And then
like
just goes over. Yeah,
it's
that's
like a little bump, like
well.
hand
Hey,
finished.
you're at least you're not living in the 80s and 90s where like 80% of the outdoor national tracks didn't even have a jump at the finish line. It was just a guy with there was just the AMA guy, and he would jump when the first place guy would go across, and oh yeah, they did the whole thing.
Oh man,
um
we're on it.
I call this photo the Clash of Clans, because this is like this is a meeting of powers here. You have this is from, I believe this is from Chicago. No, maybe it is. What
The
this
first
is
one,
this is from the oh, this is from Charlotte. So
yes,
this is the split start as it comes together. Like Ty Masterpool, God rest his older brother, who was an absolute stud on two
yes,
wheels. Very well, which probably should have been in this photo, for all intents and purposes. But this is all the heavies all in one shot. And actually, I think that this might be one 2023's worst moto that Jet Lawrence had, period. I think he ended up
yes.
sixth in this race. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first moto. Barsh is in there, twisting the throttle all chubby checkerish. You got AC in there, and of course Phil with the brand new FTA gear. Tell me about this photo. Why you chose this one over any others?
I like this one because if you don't know what moto is, you don't know what the heck this means.
Right.
And SMX was very special to me. It was extremely special to me. I didn't get to work it the way I wanted to, but it this one meant a lot to me because I felt like we were all seeing something for the first time. I felt like it was something different. And though the first SMX round was, I think, absolutely insane, uh, it was something new. It was something creative. It was something where we're seeing all these things put together, and you're seeing on a drag strip, and you're seeing all these just dirt everywhere, and to be able to just watch all of these dudes that you obviously know came from like a roundabout and 180. Like if you don't know what motocross is, I feel like this is a perfect way to like say, maybe I'll watch this thing because it's you don't know what's going on. You don't know why all these people, all you know is that they're passionate, they're really serious about what they do, and they're going for what is theirs. And with that being said, the second round was clearly the best round, but yeah, this was definitely the first one I loved.
Well, and every time you have a day race, and it's in the friendly confines of either a stadium or a speedway, I always say it takes a little bit off of the fastball that is supercross or super motocross. It's an event that it almost, as long as you have proper lighting, it should be in the night. It just kind of gives that, like, I used to play football. You play Friday night lights underneath the lights. It just has a different feel than when you're snapping the ball at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I will also note that my good friend Colt Nichols seems to be creating his own cheater line at the bottom of this photo. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he might have gotten the better of Mr. Lawrence on going into that very next straightaway, although he might have checked up and just gotten passed by a few guys. And then you've got Shane McElrath at the bottom of this photo, likely getting one of the worst starts of his professional career.
I know.
One of the favorite things like I'm a big fan of black and white photography. Like you said, it makes you kind of stop and take a minute to kind of take in some of the intricacies, because a black and white photo, I don't know if it like it asks for a little bit more culture.
Yep.
It asks for a little bit more, like it kind of just like when it the difference between watching a movie and reading a book. Like you have to take the time to sort of, it's the same story, but you have to take, when it comes to black and white photography, like you maybe stand and pause on it a little bit longer than you would have on a like if this photo is in full color, it would almost, I wouldn't say, like, because obviously it's two starts coming together, it is a little bit different. But if it was in full color, it almost looked like every other start photo, right? Where you have
It's
like guys
exactly.
rolling through the corner, and like a bunch of front number plates and guys charging through. Like that's, I wouldn't say basic, but that it's very common anyway.
And
But I like that approach here.
I really just like one thing I really like is that you pointed out, I'm just going belly under it, is we live in such a fast-paced time right now where no one will give 10 seconds to anything.
Hmm.
I can get you to stop and look at a picture. Like, there's people that will zoom in on my stuff and like, I love it. Are you kidding? I'm like, I embrace it. I'm like, hey man, I got you to slow down for more than 10 seconds to look at something that wasn't even moving. Like, that's an accomplishment all on its own.
Certainly, and like sort of totally side note, do you do a lot of or any video content? Like I know a lot of these cameras have the ability to do so, but are you strictly photos?
No, I have a C100 and I film it. I film a bunch. I just like I want to master one thing where I'm like, I
Hmm.
know that I've mastered this. I like film when it comes to skits. I like film when it comes to characters. I like film when it comes to like us coming up with something, having a plot, having everything, knowing character development. When it
Right.
comes to just like an edit, I just don't know where to go because I take my pictures in such a way that it's like I just want who's ever given me the most. And when it comes to video, it's like, wait, it's not, it's the same, but it's not the same. And it's like I want to just capture everybody who's doing great. And sometimes that just looks like a montage. It doesn't really look like it's trying to go anywhere. And I'd much rather like make a couple short movies and do it from a motocross Rob Zombie type of point of view in the sense of just being like we can do so much more with it. I feel like there's already so many people out there that make absolutely breathtaking videos. Like take Danko Productions, take him for example.
Yep.
Like his stuff is absolutely insane over the top. And it's like, why would like it's cool, but like he's the master of that. Now, I would like to collab or do something within that, but I don't know. I just can't run with the bulls like I can with getting somebody to just stop and look at this picture. And I don't know. I absolutely love filming though. I love filming. I just don't think that I'm in the arena when there's just so many that I would rather watch. I would just rather watch. I'm more of a fan of people than wanting to be a part of the team when it comes to video.
Fair enough. I think that that's something to be said for admitting that maybe that's not my forte. Maybe one day, but it currently it isn't. And yeah, pumped on the guys who do create some really eye catching stuff. I think there's not too many guys that have the ability to create on the video and the photography side of things at like basically at the same level. Like
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
That, I
God.
think
Yeah.
that's very difficult, and honestly, it's also not cheap because you need to have you have to have good equipment on both ends of things. Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about sticking to your core competencies. Um,
Ooh.
this is in full color. This is a bunch. This is racing through the start, charging forward. There's actually a lot going on in this photo. Not
Yeah, there is.
and not to be missed whatsoever is Jet Lawrence on his way to winning another moto, but it almost didn't start the way it didn't start the way he wanted it to whatsoever. Side note, you have Brandon Ray on his Honda just on the outside, just wicking it. So take me through this one a little bit. There's a lot of dirt flying. Is uh
Southwick.
this is Southwick? Yeah, this is Southwick.
This is Southwick, and I am laying on the ground,
Yes.
right?
Yes, you are.
Right after that initial hole shot, like right where the hole shot is right about where I am. I'm just in a ditch on the other side. So when they're over by the Southwick sign coming through that little rhythm section, I'm
Mhm.
like I'm hiding right in there. And this one was wild because like when you watch Jet, like I thought everyone had saw that, and I feel like there was a ton of people who never saw that, and I think that discredits him so much on his ability to ride a motorcycle, like dirt bike, anything. Like this guy, looking at this. No, he's looking at Sexton. He's not even worried about what he's doing at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see those knobs, but I don't know if you can see, all that.
I can see the
It's just
knobs. He's doing a two-wheel slide is what he's doing with his head. If you were standing on the stand, your head is basically like I don't know, 18 inches above the front fender. Like yeah.
Uh that's a lot. That's a whole lot. That's a
Mhm.
lot to be coming through. And Southwick is absolutely one of my absolute favorite races of every single season, every single year.
Why is that?
The well, it's the easiest to work.
Okay.
Every when you go build those track, like when you have to go build everything and put everything up and stage everything on track crew and all that, this is oh my gosh, everything just goes in like butter. And then when it rains, it's hot rain.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is a track that it's not an overly big track like you got to appreciate, especially a place like Loretta's where the footprint of the track is pretty minimal. You're still going to put on a lot of steps, but maybe not as many as you would at a place like Millville or yeah, like the Moon. I mean Paula,
Yeah, it's
Fox
exactly
Raceway.
what it is.
Oh, it is the moon. But yeah, this photo, like honestly, I love sand corners. They make for great riding. They make for great photography. Like it makes a rock star out of everybody who,
Everyone.
if you can send it into a corner and just grab a bunch of throttle, you're gonna kick up some sand and yeah, look like $1 million. This one's pretty neat though. You also have Aaron Plessinger. Might be the clearest photo or clearest image in this particular shot, where he's sort of trying to get on the inside of Jet and hopefully sort of kind of square him up a little bit coming out of this corner. If I'm not mistaken, this was a good moto for Aaron.
This was a phenomenal, and it's like looking at everybody, like looking at this picture now. See, this is why I love photography so much. Is just like I don't care who took this picture. I like that. Like, look at Masterpool. Look at Sexton. It's like this is one of those pictures that in 2-3 years, when we're watching Deegan taking on Jet Lawrence, and we have ourselves a little Ricky Carmichael Bubba thing going on again.
Yes, sir.
These are those pictures I feel like that are gonna mean something by then. And I feel like this is a to be continued type of photo. I mean, having AC, having Anderson, having plus, I just like it's it's moving. It's moving from one era of moto to the next, and it's going left to right for it, and it's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
especially if you consider the fact that the 11 machine on the Suzuki, that's Kyle Chisholm, who turned pro in Canada in 2005 on a carbureted steel framed 250F from Kawasaki that was basically, I think they'd made that just to boil over. He's about 35 years old, and then you've got the youngster. I don't think what round is Southwick? Was that in August or July? I
Has
want
to
to
be
say it's
July, right?
it has to be
Because
July.
isn't it
So
right after?
that's a 19-year-old Jet Lawrence.
Yeah,
He's not yet 20 there. He's about to turn. Um, and this photo also is like a culmination of Adam Cianciarulo's 2023 season because he's in there, but he's not really in there.
wow, yeah, that's 1,000,000%.
Like he's maybe not the best of starts from Adam. Honestly, I have all the kinds of time in the world for Adam Cianciarulo. He is extremely talented. He rides with so much heart. I want to see good things happen for that kid. The injuries and the adversity that he's seen throughout his pro career is like that of 10 other careers. You know what I mean? Like he's had the adversity of 10 careers in a career that's not even done yet. He's been up against it basically ever since he turned pro, literally since he turned pro, because he had food poisoning a
Yeah,
couple weeks before his very first round. Um, but
and
yeah.
his what that show out year in 2019, I
Mhm.
feel like him and Faulkner were just on fire together
That's right.
and just dominating it. One thing I really love about AC, and he actually like made me realize that a lot of these riders have like really good personalities, and that's another thing that I really tried breaking is I feel like before, like when I first started, I feel like nobody took that helmet off. I felt like you couldn't. It was just about the racer. It was about the team. It was about that. It's like then AC comes around, and I have a picture of him and a bunch of other people at Ironman, and he gave like a really good like spiritual like bit about it, and it's crazy. I feel like he influences so many people, and I don't think he realizes it. And like He's just his spiritualism, the way he goes about himself, the way he carries everything, the
Mhm.
stuff that he tries to do with everybody, keeping it lively, keeping this entire industry going. My hat's off to that guy in every aspect. I love when he rides. I love when he talks. I love when he just whatever he's doing. I'm on board.
I don't think that there's a more emotionally intelligent rider in professional motocross than Adam Cianciarulo. I think that like
Hands
his
down.
ability to know what he's feeling and communicate that, and because they're like I feel like everybody has those feelings, they just maybe not be aware of it. Like he's able to be like, in the moment and communicate that with others, which is a huge blessing to those who don't get to be in a position like in a to be a member of one of these photos, because he allows fans to sort of come along for the ride with him, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. My boy.
The kitsch I probably like if you had told him that when you dye your hair, the blue is going to come out kind of green, and that the white is going to be more like yellow, and the red is going to be more like pink, he may not have gone with this look. But at the same time, like this is an unmistakable photo from a young man who had himself an absolute day. Like he's on Pro Circuit Kawasaki now, but this might be one of his favorite photos from his time over at Star Racing Yamaha.
It's crazy because like when Kitchen and I met, we had to do an event, did the Team Fried Classic at South Central in Texas in 2020.
Okay.
And we were together for a month,
Oh,
and
neat.
watching him and just learning from him and just doing everything, to seeing him go to Ponca, to seeing him do Spring a Ding, to go into now, like then all of a sudden there, Redbud, and everyone screaming his name. And I was just like, that was a quick 3 years, bro. Like that went by insanely fast. And like taking this picture was more of an emotional thing, just because it was like seeing like other people just trying to reach out to him, just try to get his aura. Just they're not trying to take anything from him. They're not trying to do anything. They're not even trying to get him to
Mm-hmm.
recognize them. They literally just want themselves some Levi Kitchen with his Mexican candy haircut looking thing that he has. But they love them some Kitchen.
Yeah, no, he's a very infectious individual. He's a guy who, when things are going his way, he's like the his body language on the bike, it's pretty infectious. It's just you could tell he genuinely enjoys the role of being a professional motocross racer, which I think is one of the coolest jobs in the world to have. I actually have a lot of respect for any of the racers who genuinely make that occupation look like the job that it is. I know there are
Yes.
some trials and tribulations, and there's downsides to every job, but the guys who can really celebrate it, I think, are the guys who get the most out of it. And yeah, you're like this one hand reaching out. That's not someone who's trying to like grab for the jersey. That's literally just a hand of a fan trying
Yep.
to like sort of get his hands on the moment, so to speak,
Yeah.
which is very neat.
And you tell me, does that matter if it's electric or if it's not electric? Like you're watching people passionate, because when
Yeah.
I got into this whole thing, I just always thought it was two wheels forever. And that's what these people are expressing. That's what
Mm-hmm.
these people are invested in, is the two wheels, not the sound, not anything else. These people are going because a man in this machine just went and dominated their goals. And that's what truly matters. That's what matters more than anything to me.
For sure. I think the sport in general is enjoyed by athletes that, you know, in so many ways could have only have dreamed to be as skilled as the ones that they watch at the pro level. Like I'd say, and a good percentage of people who go to an outdoor national are people who competed themselves. They understand the perils of the sport in general, as well as just respect the skill set. Like they themselves, they go out in the same track and they spin a 3 minute lap time where these guys go 2 minute lap time. Like it's incredible to see what they're able to accomplish and the level of mastery that they're able to achieve. And in so many ways, the individuals around the sport, like the photographers like yourself, are those same professionals and have that same level of mastery of their skill set. And that's how you end up with photos like this, is that you have to have a great photographer with great skills, and capturing the moment that can only be created by athletes like this. I think it's a cool kind of cross section there.
Thank you. I actually have a question for you.
Go for it.
When did you know that like you wanted to do what you're doing right now, and you were like, this is my life. This is what I do.
The first time I knew that I wanted to do this was actually, it was very interesting. I had dislocated my shoulder. This is back in 2008. I dislocated my shoulder at a race in Thief River Falls, in the States. I think it's in North Dakota. And the very next day, I was in a sling. I was supposed to race, but I wasn't able to. And the promoter of the track was like, well, my announcer didn't show up today. Like, would you announce? Like, everybody's name for the most part. I'm like, well, I'll go up there and do my best. Art Ekman, God rest his soul. And I've always just had a bit of a memory for facts, stats, dates, small intricacies. And it was later that day, I was talking to a fellow. It was a Canadian pro. His name's Doug DeHaan. He went down and raced in the States throughout the 2000s a fair bit. But I was just telling him about the first time I ever watched him race, which is 1999. It was actually this event right here, the Grumthal National 1999. He actually won the 125 class that day.
Awesome.
And I told him about it. This would have been over almost 10 years after that, and I was 10 years old when I went to that race. But I was like, yeah, you won that race, and you were on two-wheel Kawasaki, and your teammates were these guys. And he's like, and Blair Morgan was wearing an all orange helmet, which I thought that was kind of weird. And he's like looking at me like I had three heads. And he goes like, Blair Morgan did wear an orange helmet that year. How the hell do you remember that? And I'm like,
So
I don't know,
amazing.
man. Like, it's just like you're talking to a kid who could have only dreamed to go as fast as you guys do. So I did my best to be able to remember what it is I saw. So from that point forward, I was like, I have at least the interest to know these things and remember them and be able to share it with people who maybe they didn't start watching at the same time I did. I've always had that interest to go watch old races. For the longest time, two reasons. Probably couldn't afford cable, and secondly, I just love watching old races. I have a terabyte of old races here, sitting around here somewhere. Yeah, I have it. I won't like if you want. I'll send you. If you send me an external hard drive, I will send you races from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. You name it. I've all the way up to 2016 when it was given to me, my good friend Tony Blazer. So I just watch those. I just plug them into my laptop. I plug my laptop into my TV, and I watch races from all types of years and this, that, and the thing. And then what I do is, if I really like that event, I go find the cycle news and I read about it. So yeah, I'm total sick puppy when it comes to this stuff. And I would also love to be able to tell the story of what's not only what happened in yesteryear, but what's going on right now. And that's what we do at Vurbmoto.
You do a phenomenal job of it, my man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, hey, look at that. Hey.
Just good looking guy right there. But yeah, man, that's sort of the genesis of what became like Big MX Radio. I started it in 2014. And honestly, it was, I've told this story a number of times, maybe not on the Verb Pod Network, but essentially the idea behind it is that at the time I was a fan of the Pulp MX show. I'd listen to that all the time. Steve grew up maybe 20 minutes from where I'm living right now. And I would listen to his show, and that at that time he was doing the race review show and he was doing Pulp, and that was it. So, and if you were an avid listener, you would have that show listened to by like Tuesday afternoon, and you're out of podcasts to listen to. There was DMXS that they would do a podcast maybe every week or so, maybe 2 weeks. So they weren't as diligent, and there's literally nothing else. So I was like, well, that I have like there has to be more content. If I'm running into this problem, that means everyone's running into this problem. Like
Exactly.
I secretly also regret not starting a hockey podcast, because at that point there was a grand total of 0 podcasts about hockey,
So
and
funny.
oh yeah, and now there's about 50, and they actually do quite well. But yeah, like I'm about as good with 90s backup goalies in the NHL than I am with Moto. But
What would you have
um,
named it?
oh, that's putting me on the spot.
Ah, fuck off.
Perfect. What would I have
Perfect.
named it? I would have called it uh probably have like something to do with like I live on the prairies, so maybe it would probably be like me. What would I have named it?
We asked the tough ones around here.
No kidding. That would like I'm trying to
I
come up with
got
an
one more
actual.
for you after this.
Okay, perfect. I would have called it this is great audio. I don't know. I'd call it penalty box talk.
I love that.
Yeah, we'll just call it. They'll call it penalty box talk. And I would interview like athletes from 100 years ago, and to this day. That'd be kind of cool. What's your other question? I hope I have a
If
better
you
answer for
could,
it.
if you could tell anyone one thing about you without anything, what would you want people to know about you?
I care.
Nice.
I care more than anything. I care, and that's what fuels me wanting to do just about anything. Like when it comes to when I stick my neck out for people, when I go ahead and I coordinate sponsorships for people, when I do interviews. Like I'm not doing interviews specifically to bring my my audience content. I'm also doing it to tell the story of the subject that I'm on. I'm doing them. I do podcasts to maybe like it's everyone's always in a different situation, and everyone's situation is different. Maybe they really need a podcast to listen to today. Maybe they need to escape from what they're currently doing. And when I approach a company to work with on for sales on the podcast, I never approach a sponsor because I want to make a sale.
Yeah.
I approach companies because I want their business to be more successful. And I think by working with me, their business will be more successful. Obviously, I have to charge for that because I can't do this all for free.
Yeah.
And like, in order for me to continue to do what I do need to charge for that. But at the same time, like, I want to be able to build businesses and say that this year we had more sales because we worked with Brad Gebhardt. That is
Yeah.
my number one goal for all that fun stuff. And yeah, I think, and also kind of getting back to like the I care part of things is like I I often say I won't be outworked. I will not be outworked, and it's because how much I care about what I do. That's what continues to fuel when like when other people would probably say, hey, like I don't want to do a podcast at that time, or it's not convenient. I like when it was Adam Bailey from World Supercross. He's 15 hours ahead of me, which means sometimes I have to call him at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll gladly do it
Darn right.
because yeah, I love this shit. And yeah, like I'm a night owl anyway, so if I was going to be up to 2 o'clock in the morning watching 78 Supercross, I might as well be up to 2 o'clock in the morning talking about World Supercross 2023. So that's it. That's me.
Because you care.
Yeah, man, I care about
I
this
love
stuff.
that.
Yes, sir. Jordan Post at random. If you're not already following Post at random, first of all, shame on you. Pull your
Oh,
head out of your butt. And yeah, follow this guy because his journey is not only spectacular, but visually it will be eye catching. Jordan, thanks so much for making time for the show.
thank you so much for having me here. I'm very grateful and just thankful to be able to get to know you a little better and be able to do this. So, yeah, thank you.
Final message for any young, or maybe not even young, any aspiring photographer who one day would like to maybe be on the infield of Loretta Lynn's, or perhaps even dial up Sean Brennan for a credential with Monster Energy Supercross?
All right, you ready for it?
Go for it.
Life hits really, 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 really hard. And if you're lucky enough, you'll have enough backbone to get up. And if you can get up, man, you can get after it. You live 100 times over. Each time that you fall into a mistake, it's because the future you has already learned how to do whatever mistake that you're running into at that moment. All you want to do is become the master. Now, to understand to become the master, you have to go through trials and tribulations. If you stay true and you stay to what you know, life has a funny way of working out. And always believe and have let your faith guide everything. I don't know what anyone believes in. If you think I'm winning, my faith is the only reason I'm winning, hands down. You could say it's luck, you could say it's anything. It's my faith. I know that hands down, because when you feel like you're talking to something, but when you feel like you're being taken care of because of something, that's totally different. And whatever you believe in it more. Give it your all, give it your love, especially if you're depressed, if you're manic, if you're sad, if you have anxiety, if you don't believe anything, you really don't care about your life, then cool. Challenge a belief, challenge it and tell it to love you. And over time, the more that you sacrifice stuff and give it love, see how it goes. And get yourself a notebook and let yourself know what you're grateful for every day. It will work.
Love it, Jordan. Appreciate the time, my friend. We'll leave it right there.